I wasn't looking for trouble when I started working night shifts. Honestly, I just needed the money. I'd dropped out of nursing school the year before, burned out, broke, and stuck paying off a used Corolla I could barely afford. My ex and I had split after a 4-year slow-motion disaster, and I needed space. Terre Haute was as far as I could get on short notice, and my cousin had a spare room, so that was that. Tacobell wasn't my dream job, but it was simple. The location on Copperleaf was tucked behind a few warehouses and an old rail fence. Easy to miss if you didn't know where to look. We were open late, sometimes all night depending on staffing. I worked mostly weekends, usually the closing shift. The nights were quiet. A few drunk kids, sometimes a late trucker, but mostly just silence and the low hum of fryers. It suited me. By the time October rolled around, I'd been there about 6 months. I knew the routine. Lock the front by 1 a.m., clean up, close the drive-thru window by 2 a.m., then finish restocking and clock out. Easy. That night, Sunday the 22nd, Jalen, the kid I usually worked with, left early. Said his stomach was acting up. He was always complaining about something, so I didn't think much of it. I told him to feel better, and he dipped out around 11:30. I didn't mind being alone. Actually, I kind of liked it. No one talking, no one breathing down your neck. Just me, the soda machines, and a playlist running on low through my phone. I even got ahead on dishes, which I never do. Around 1:30, I started shutting things down. I wiped the line, locked the front, and double-checked the safe in the office. Everything was normal until I heard the chime, the one at the front door, which was supposed to be locked. I looked up, thinking maybe I hadn't latched it right, but the lobby was empty, lights buzzing, nothing moving. I tested the handle, locked. It rattled me a little, but weird things happen on night shifts. Sensors get old. Wind plays tricks. I tried not to think about it, went back to wiping counters, then the headset crackled. I almost dropped the headset when it buzzed in my ear. Static, loud, and sudden. I figured maybe someone had pulled up to the drive-thru, but when I checked the screen, there was no car, just a blank lot. Then I heard it. A man's voice, calm, almost casual. "You forgot to lock the back door." I stood still for a second, holding the side of the counter like it might help me make sense of what I just heard. That door, out by the dumpster, I hadn't touched it since I took trash out earlier. I meant to check it after Jalen left, but forgot. I peeked through the narrow window in the kitchen toward the back lot. Sure enough, there was a car parked way off to the side, headlights off. Old, beat up, blue sedan. I didn't recognize it. Engine still running though, it was faint, but you could hear it. That's when I started to feel it. Not fear exactly, but something heavier, like my body knew before my brain caught up. I looked around, half expecting someone to jump out of the freezer. Nothing. I thought about what Loretta said earlier that week. She's a regular, sweet older woman from a nearby care home. Has some memory issues. Sometimes she thinks Jalen's her son. She came in Thursday and said real quiet, "He came back." From behind the fryer. Jalen and I laughed. She says all kinds of things. But standing there, headset buzzing, lights flickering slightly, I wasn't laughing. The voice came back, "Third window." That's the small one on the side of the kitchen, the one no one uses. I turned and saw movement. A shadow. Could have been a reflection, but it felt real. Then, tap. One knock on the glass. I couldn't see a face, but someone was out there, just standing still. I locked the back door, fast, hands shaking. Didn't even grab a weapon, just ran to the office and shut the door behind me. I kept telling myself it was a prank, just some sick joke. But the voice wasn't laughing. The office smelled like burnt plastic and cleaning spray. I flipped the lock and dropped into the chair, my phone already out. First thing I did was check the cameras. We had an old security system, one of those cheap 6-camera setups that freezes half the time. But that night something was different. Every feed was frozen, same timestamp. 1:41 a.m. No movement. Just grainy images of empty rooms. On one screen, I saw the drive-through lane. On another, the back alley. On camera 3, there was a man standing behind the dumpster. Barefoot, pale, looking straight at the camera. I tried to reset the system, but it didn't respond. I don't know why I whispered when I said it, but I remember my own voice, soft and shaky. He's watching. I called 911. My fingers kept slipping on the screen. When the dispatcher answered, I nearly cried. Tacobell on Copperleaf. There's someone outside. He got on the drive-through headset somehow. He said I left a door unlocked. I think he tried to get in. There was a pause. I remember it feeling too long. Officers are en route. Stay inside. Stay on the line with me. How long? I asked. They're about 11 minutes away. 11 minutes. I kept repeating it in my head like a countdown. I asked if they could see the location on GPS. She said yes. I asked if anyone else had reported a man outside. She said no. The whole time I kept staring at the monitor. The man behind the dumpster never moved. He was just there. Still. Then the screen flickered. For a split second it showed me, in the office, with someone behind me. I turned fast. No one there. Just shadows. But I swear I felt breath on my neck. I didn't leave the office until I saw flashing lights through the alley camera, 2 patrol cars rolling in slow with their high beams on. When I finally opened the door, the restaurant felt like a different building. Still cold, still lit, but off. Like the air had changed. The sedan was still running when the cops got there, but it was empty. No plates. The officer said it looked abandoned. They found footprints in the grease by the back door, barefoot like I'd seen. They did a sweep of the area, checked the dumpster, the fence line, even the roof. Nothing. One officer asked if we had any usable footage. I told him the cameras glitched. He didn't look surprised, said sometimes that happens with older systems. They took my statement, told me to call if I remembered anything else. Before they left, one of them, older guy, probably my dad's age, said something I haven't forgotten. You're lucky the door was still locked. That kind of guy probably wasn't looking to talk. I nodded, but I didn't say much. I didn't sleep when I got home. Couldn't. 3 days later, I called my manager and quit. Told her I'd come in to sign the paperwork later, but I never did. I couldn't go back. Not to the smell of fryer oil, not to that headset. I kept it though, threw it in my nightstand drawer. Not sure why. It's been about 6 months since it happened. I'm working days now at a bookstore. Nothing fancy, but it's quiet in a better way. Safer. I don't tell a lot of people about that night. When I do, I downplay it. Make it sound weird, but not serious. Not dangerous. But the truth is, it changed something in me. I double-check every door. I sleep with a light on. I can't stand static, on the TV, the radio. Even white noise makes my skin crawl now. And sometimes, not every night, but enough that it bothers me. I wake up at 1:41 a.m. Just awake. No sound, no dreams, just a feeling like something's near. Once, just once, I heard the old headset crackle from my drawer. No one was on it. Of course not, but I still checked the doors. Lock your doors. Trust your gut. And don't ignore small things that feel wrong. Sometimes they're the only warning you get. You never think it'll be the regulars who get under your skin. When I first started at the Tacobell off Horizon Loop, I didn't know what to expect. I'd just moved back to Charleston, trying to get my life steady again. My son, Malik, was in foster care while I worked out the custody situation. CPS said I needed consistent income, stable housing, and a routine, so I made one. Tacobell paid better than I expected. I worked evenings mostly, sometimes closing, depending on who showed up. Kyle, the manager, was gruff, but not mean. As long as you did your job, he left you alone. It wasn't glamorous, but I kept my head down. I wasn't there to make friends. I was trying to rebuild. Then Wallace started showing up. I noticed him maybe my third or fourth week, always around 6. Mid-50s, maybe older. Messy gray hair, thick glasses, always wore the same beat-up denim jacket. He didn't order much, just a cinnamon twist and a Baja Blast. Always paid in crumpled bills, exact change. At first, he just sat in the far booth by the window, chewing real slow. Then he started watching me. Like, not subtle watching, eyes locked every time I looked up from the register. One night, when I handed him his cup, he said, "You've got a soft voice. I like women who stay quiet." I laughed it off because that's what you do. I've worked food service before. You smile, nod, move on. But inside, it stuck. Kyle noticed. He asked me if I was good, and I told him yeah. I was lying. It got worse from there. Wallace didn't stop. He didn't exactly escalate right away either. He just hovered. Always polite, but always too close. One time I caught him sniffing near the condiments. Not like a normal person, just standing there, breathing real slow. Then he started talking to Brianna. Bree was 17, still in high school, bright, quick on the register, and way too trusting. She didn't think anything of Wallace until one night he followed her toward the mop sink just past the walk-in. She said he asked if she lived nearby. When she told him to back off, he laughed and said, "I know when closing time is." She came out looking shaken. I asked her what happened, and she tried to brush it off, but I didn't. I marched right to the dining area and told Wallace he needed to leave. Loud. Clear. I think I said something like, "You don't talk to my staff like that. You're done here." He didn't yell. He just smirked. Walked out slow, dragging his fingers along the glass on the way out. Left fingerprints for days. Kyle backed me up, told Wallace he was banned. Said if he came back, he'd call the cops. We didn't see him again. That night, Kyle gave me a ride home. I didn't ask. He just offered. I didn't sleep well, though. Neither did Bree. She quit the next week. I came in late on the following Thursday, February 1st. I remember because I had to pick up a late grocery order and was already feeling behind. It was just after 6 when the city cop walked in. Young guy, looked barely old enough to shave. I rang him up. 2 tacos, no lettuce. And while I was grabbing his Baja Blast, he said, "You work here a lot, right?" I said, "Yeah, evenings mostly." "You know a guy named Wallace Tripp?" I didn't answer right away, just froze with the drink half full. "We found him, dead in his trailer off Reedsville Road. Neighbors reported a smell. Guess he'd been gone a while." I asked how. "Choked on reheated beef stew. Alone. Cats got to him." I didn't know what to say. My stomach turned. Not because I felt bad, but because something about the way he said it, so casual, made it worse. The cop thanked me, took his food, and left. Just like that. I stood there for a while, still holding the soda lid in my hand. When I finally got home that night, I couldn't stop picturing Wallace in that booth, chewing. Always chewing slow. And those cats. Jesus. Life went on. No one at work brought Wallace up. Not really. Maybe Kyle mentioned it once in passing. But we all moved like people do after something weird happens. Quiet, pretending it didn't get to us. But it did. I started keeping my pepper spray on me all the time. Slipped it in my apron during every shift. I started closing with my back to the wall, making sure I could see every corner of the store. Taking the trash out became the worst part. The dumpsters sat in this little fenced spot behind the store past a thin row of trees. At night, that area gets dark. No lights, no cameras. The first time I saw him, I thought it was a trick of the shadows. Just a shape, low to the ground, moving behind the tree line. It wasn't clear, but it was enough to stop me cold. I told myself it was an animal. A dog, maybe. A raccoon. But then I saw it again. A week later. Same spot. Same hunched figure. Chewing. I didn't check again after that. I take the trash out early now, before dark if I can help it. I told Kyle I won't do it alone anymore. He didn't argue. I think he's seen it too. I still work there. Taco Bell's not glamorous, but it's a paycheck. I'm almost through my court case for Malik, and I've got a 2-bedroom lined up for next month. I keep my head down. But every now and then, during slow hours, especially right around 6, I glance at the booth in the corner. The one by the window. No one sits there much anymore. Once, last week, I was sweeping near the soda machine when I heard a whisper. Not a word, just breath. It could have been the air system kicking in, or maybe someone walking past the glass outside. But I didn't turn around. I don't need to. Wallace is gone. I know that. But sometimes things don't leave all the way. Trust your instincts. Silence isn't always safety, and just because someone disappears doesn't mean they're gone. I was the dependable one at Taco Bell. 20 years old, pre-nursing student at Yavapai College, trying to juggle rent, textbooks, and a part-time job. Some evenings I'd prep orders humming softly, a distraction against the late-night silence. I liked the normalcy of grease stains and the hum of fryers. I liked knowing exactly what would happen. That Thursday, November 9th, started like any other. My shift started at 5 p.m., and by 9, the after-school rush was settling into the routine hush of evening drive-thru business. Kyle, my shift lead, was in a mood. He'd been snappy all night. He slid a phone and insulated bag in front of me and said, "Delivery came through. Unusual, but it's prepaid. Basement entrance, you good?" I looked at the app. It listed 147 Milner Lane and added, "Basement delivery. Knock 3 times. Leave bag." That felt weird. Taco Bell didn't do deliveries from our location. We were in Prescott's small college town streak. Deliveries were rare. It smelled off. But Kyle tried to reassure me. "Probably someone who hates the cold," he said. I swallowed a lump. I didn't have a car. I used my gas money to keep textbooks paid. Kyle offered me a ride for part of it, and we agreed I'd handle it. I know now he only said that to feel better. He didn't expect me to go. But I did. I grabbed the phone, bag, and drove out to Milner Lane at 9:10 p.m. GPS took me down an industrial road, gravel crunching under tires. I saw abandoned storage units, broken gates, dead street lamps. The kind of place where your headlights seem loud and unnecessary. The house number was barely legible on a rusted gate. It said 147 in flickering spray paint. A sign taped to the bottom read exactly what the app said: "Basement delivery. Knock 3 times. Leave bag." My stomach turned. I kept wanting to call Kyle, but I'd already moved. Too late. So I turned off the car, climbed out, and felt the cold Arizona night press in. I should have turned around. But I knocked. 3 firm taps. Nothing. Silence pressed in. The gravel crunched under my boots as I set the bag down. It felt heavier than usual. I nearly froze. The wind whispered. My breath puffs. I heard a low humming, like chanting, maybe music, nothing comforting. My phone buzzed. Kyle texting, "Where'd you go?" Answer. I stood, heart pounding, but something told me not to look back at the car. I stepped down the short concrete stairs into darkness. The metal basement door was old, paint peeling, hinges stiff. I knocked again. 3 knocks. No answer. The humming beneath my feet grew louder, like distant voices or maybe machines far away. I told myself it was a boiler, just a boiler. I set the bag there, stepped back, curled my fingers around the cold door handle like a leash to pull me out. But then, the door creaked. A thin line of light. A figure. A hand. One step took me back, nearly tripping. My phone hit the gravel with a ping I now remember like a gunshot. 4 figures stood inside the doorway. Identical blank masks. Featureless faces except for eye slits. Ill-lit, empty eyes. They tilted their heads together in perfect synchrony, their bodies still. My voice came out a squeak. I delivered the bag. One of them, center, lifted a finger in my direction. whispered, unintelligible, but that single phrase shivered straight through me. "Stay. We've been expecting you." That voice so calm, almost bored. My breath got loud in my ears. I lurched into movement, anything to get away. I turned, ran for my car, gravel under boots, heart pounding like a drum. The phone buzzed again, Kyle calling. I answered while backing up, hands shaking so hard I could barely shift the gear. He said, "Samantha, where are you?" My voice cracked. I kept looking in the rearview mirror. The door was still open. Two masked heads tilted in unison as I shifted onto gravel and drove off. I slammed the door at Tacobell, hands shaking so bad I almost clicked in the wrong code. Kyle looked at me, confused. The other crew paused, mid-work. "What happened?" he asked. I whispered it all. The dark, the masks, the basement. He looked pale, rubbed his neck, laughed low. "You sure?" "That sounds weird." He grabbed my journal phone, mine, not the store's, and asked Siri for 147 Milner. No address, no listing, no basement. He shrugged. "Maybe somebody pranked you." I stared at him. "Kyle, the masks, they said my name." He swallowed, tapped his foot, reached for his keys. "Let me drive you back." I shook my head. "I don't want to." That was it shame? Fear? I couldn't say. I asked him to watch the store, just for a minute, and I rushed to my car and left again. Pulled the bag from its bag, threw it in a back corner of a shed behind the store before any more questions. Kyle acted like it didn't happen, busy being busy. People clocked in, burgers sizzled, orders came through. I didn't return to the delivery app after that night. I blocked it. I changed my number. I transferred courses out of Prescott campus to Flagstaff. Needed distance. Kyle said he was sorry, said he felt like a jerk. I nodded, didn't say more. Weeks passed. I started the new semester, got a weekend job at a clinic. It was quieter, safer, or so I thought. But sometimes Craigslist pops up job postings from the same address. Late night help needed, Milner Lane. No company name, no phone. Late hours, basement deliverer. They want human-to-human intake. My fingers hover, then swipe away. It's like they're testing Windows, looking for someone who'll show up again. And once, late at night, I saw a shadow appear in my bedroom window. No face, just shape. Tall, standing at the edge of light, gone in a blink. I told myself it was a stray animal, or a leaf, or exhaustion. But when I checked that old Tacobell bag, yeah, I kept it in my closet. Lined with the app prints, melting sauce stains, it smells faintly of refried beans and fear. I bury it in a box. I keep the phone under my pillow. I lock the bedroom door twice. Tonight, I'm sitting in my dorm room, windows shut, door locked. I'm studying for my next nursing exam, trying to imagine a future fixing people instead of running. My roommate asks why I jump every time my phone buzzes at night. I say the real reason? I'm waiting for someone to knock. I've told people bits, parents worry, friends give me side eye. Counseling helped maybe 5%, but I don't walk alone at night. I park so lights are between me and open streets. I drive past surveillance signs. The masks. I've drawn them in the margin of my notebooks. Featureless eyes. 4 of them, like heralds. Synchrony. Silence. I think they wanted me to stay. Maybe part of me wants to know what happens if I didn't run. But I didn't. And I never will. Unknown deliveries and aberrant requests should be red flags. Trust your instincts, even if others don't. Crossing into another person's hidden world can cost far more than money. It could cost your sense of safety. When I started at Tacobell, sophomore year of college, I thought it'd just help me pay tuition. But after I dropped out to care for my little brother, David, it became more than a job. It was a lifeline. The crew laughed through double shifts, joked over late-night orders, and Trish, our manager, made us feel like family. Breaks came early when we needed them, phones were fine during downtime, and mess-ups were met with jokes more than lectures. For years, that small corner of Rapid City felt like home. We had rhythm, breakfast rushes, lunch crowds, and the midnight lull. I clocked out feeling like I did something meaningful, even if it was just serving tacos. That changed when Lucas Bray arrived. Corporate shipped him in from Idaho after their Boise location shut down. They said he was by the book, which sounded fine until he installed cameras over our heads, set break timers on the register, and banned phones outright, even on break. Suddenly, the place felt cold. In his first week, 2 teammates quit. They just walked out during their shift, said they couldn't take the tension. Trish slapped a smile on and kept the place running because she didn't want our store to be next. Then her sudden audit came and she was gone too, just like that. Now there were just a handful of us left, me, Noah the trainee, and the night closer, Jasmine. We looked after each other in quiet glances, doing our best to just survive. It was Tuesday, February 27th, and I clocked in at 4:45 p.m. The fluorescent lights felt brighter. The air, colder. Lucas stood in his corner office, arms folded. He didn't greet me. Instead, he watched the register screen, not kindly, like a hawk. I stepped in, straightened my shirt, and forced my smile. "Evening, Lucas," I said quietly. He didn't reply. He just nodded once, sharp, measured. That shrug felt different, not authoritative, just distant. That was the night it changed, not with violence or threats, but with a look, a recognition that everything I'd built here could evaporate. Those first 2 weeks with Lucas felt like walking a tightrope. Every typo, every sauce packet misplace, documented. We switched sauce placement charts over 27 times. Phones buzzed with no breaks until 6:30 p.m. It was endless. And then it happened. Thursday night, about 8:30 p.m. Noah was a good kid, 17, eager, but green. He mixed up jalapeno and chipotle packets. Lucas marched him out front like he was a schoolboy, shouting loud enough for dining room and drive-thru to hear. He said things like, "This is basic. You expect to work here? Know your condiments?" His voice echoed, cold and flat. Clients stopped ordering. We froze behind the counter, scanning the floor to see if someone was going to step in. I stepped forward. "Lucas, give him a sec. It was an honest mistake. He just needs time." I kept my voice steady. Lucas paused, turned. "Excuse me?" he asked softly, more chilling than his previous tone. I met his gaze and said, "He's learning." Lucas's face looked like stone. He didn't hum something or raise his voice. He just said, "Elena, come with me." That line hit me hard, as if I was the problem. I followed him into the manager's office. His door clicked shut. He turned slowly. "I don't tolerate excuses," he said quietly, voice soft but ironclad. "1 or 2 shifts late, a missed step, and suddenly you're a liability." I knew exactly what that looked like when he said nothing else. He pinned me with those eyes that saw everything. I nodded, voice small. "Understood." Then he added, "You're speaking up. Now you're responsible. I need to know you value discipline." He leaned back, pause. "Crew training for tonight. You close with me." That meant alone, just him and me for the final hours. I nodded, stomach tightening. He added, "Prove you're fit to survive framework." Those words shut me inside my skin. He left. The door clicked. I ran my hands over stacked paper bags. What did he mean by earned survival? The shift started normally. Orders, fries, the drier hum of soda lines. But under Lucas's watchful coldness, everything felt measured. Around midnight, we finished cleaning. Stockroom checked. I almost sighed. Nearly done. Lucas didn't clean. He came to me, eyes locked. "Ready for evaluation?" My heart tightened. I stepped forward, trying to nod calmly. No words, just nodding. Lucas placed a small locked box on the counter between us. Cold steel, no label. He said, voice soft as gravel, "Inside are all remaining crew profiles. Notes on performance, behavior, personal data. I'll unlock it once the shift ends. Tonight, one of us leaves." He paused. "Only one. Let's see who follows orders best." Those words didn't rise in volume, but they anchored inside me. It wasn't just metaphor. It felt like a test, and failure wasn't an option. I froze. My heart pounded. I remembered every morning my brother woke hungry, every time I hesitated if I wanted to stay in this job or support him. Lucas folded his arms. "Stay in your zone. Work quiet. No errors." Then he turned and began noting things on his clipboard. Silence wrapped the store. Fryer hum, soda drips. I glanced at the locked box. Sealed. Between us. I worked as I always did. No mistakes. My white gloves smoothed tortillas behind the counter, every movement deliberate. Time crawled. One wrong move and I'd be next. Not metaphorically. I felt that. At 2:15 a.m. I still hadn't spoken. Lucas hadn't asked anything. The tension inside baked me. My palms sweated. Then I heard the walk-in cooler latch engage behind me. The only unlocked door in the store. I slipped inside, heart thumping. Froze the latch with a jerk. My hands shook. The cooler felt like an ice cave, but I felt heat in my chest. I pressed my phone to dial 911, whispering, "This is Elena Park, 2289 Crosswind Boulevard. I'm inside the walk-in cooler. The manager, Lucas Bray, he threatened me. He locked some box. I'm scared." He didn't knock, but I didn't wait. Within minutes, felt like lifetimes, I heard footsteps. I stayed silent. Then lights outside. The cooler door cracked open. 2 officers stepped in, badge glinting. I pushed out, tearful, voice unsteady. When they went after Lucas, he slipped away. They found that box, but no sign of Lucas or anything illegal in the reports. Just names, addresses, notes underlined unfit. They told me business would be disrupted for investigation. People would call me for details. I gave them everything. The store shut for renovation. Trish's name wasn't brought back, but David stopped sending letters addressed to him as manager's sister. It was over. I declined the counseling the company offered. Instead, I went with David to the clinic I work at now. Meals included, nights mostly behind the desk, not the line. I never touch food service again. Lights flicker sometimes at home. It puts me on edge. At night, I remember the box, his words. "Only one of us needs to leave tonight." What he meant, I don't know. Maybe he was insane. Maybe he'd done this before. I'll never really know. But I do know one thing. Survival isn't about being first or strongest. Sometimes it's about running at the right moment. Don't mistake quiet compliance for safety. Trust your instincts when authority becomes threatening. Sometimes the bravest thing is to walk away. I wasn't supposed to end up in fast food again. I'd spent nearly 6 years loading pallets in a warehouse off I-10, working toward full-time with benefits. Then the layoffs hit. They handed me a paper check, and a firm handshake like that made rent any less real. I applied to everything: security guard, inventory, delivery driver, but no one was calling me back. Tacobell, of all places, was the first to say yes. Graveyard shift, 9 p.m. to 5:30 a.m. Not glamorous, but it was money. And after 3 weeks of ramen and bills stacked like Jenga, I took what I could get. The store was on West Tidwell, tucked between a payday loan office and a busted Family Dollar. Shifts were quiet. Most nights it was just me and the assistant manager, Donald. Early 40s, average build, always wore black non-slip shoes and kept a pocket comb in his apron. Not much of a talker. Not warm, but not mean either. Just off. His eyes didn't smile when his mouth did. Always watching, always calculating. On my first night, he gave me the tour. Grill, cooler, mop sink, office. When we reached the last door, he stopped and said it low, like a warning. "Don't open the manager's office, not unless I tell you to." I blinked. "You mean like, ever?" "That door stays closed for a reason," he said, tapping it once with his knuckle. "You follow that, and we'll get along fine." I thought maybe it was a weird corporate thing. Maybe inventory or personal records. Maybe Donald was just power tripping. Either way, I didn't ask questions. I needed this job. But after a few shifts, I started noticing the pattern. Every night around 11:30, Donald would slip into the office with a small dented metal case. He'd stay in there exactly 12 to 15 minutes. No phone, no radio. Just silence. Then he'd re-emerge, face wiped clean, and resume stocking or punching orders like nothing happened. I told myself it wasn't my business. I kept my head down, scrubbed the grill, and counted the hours. But some things you can't unhear or unfeel. And that office door? It started whispering in my gut. It started on a Tuesday, one of those dead nights with no customers after 10. Rain was coming down hard, streaking the drive-thru window and rattling the trash bins out back. Donald was in the office, door shut as usual. I was reloading the sauce bins when I heard it, something soft, like a cough, muffled. I stopped, sauces still in hand. It came again, not a cough this time. A voice, low, feminine, strained. "Help me." I froze, looked toward the back, then toward the office. Could have been the ice machine, I told myself, or water lines. Pipes always made weird sounds in this old place. I walked closer, pressed my ear gently to the door. "Help me, please. I want to go home." My stomach dropped. The voice was real, not imagined, not mechanical. I backed up fast, bumping into the dry stock shelf behind me. My hands were slick with sweat, even in the AC. When Donald came out 5 minutes later, he looked exactly the same. Calm, hair still combed, apron straight. I tried to keep my voice even. "Hey, everything okay in there?" He blinked, slow. "Why?" I thought I heard something. Like a voice." He smiled thinly. "Plumbing. This place is old." Then he clapped me on the shoulder, harder than necessary. "Mop the lobby before close." That was it. No explanation. Just that weird, forced calm again. Like I was supposed to accept it and move on. That night I had dreams. Cold, concrete rooms, breathing behind walls, a hand pounding once, then nothing. When I woke up the next day, I told myself to grow up. There was no basement dungeon, no kidnapped person. It was just stress, overwork, paranoia. Right? By the end of the week, I was on edge every shift. Even small things felt off. The register would glitch. The fryer oil smelled burnt even after changing. And Donald, he was watching me more now. Less small talk, more silence. Always one eye on me. Thursday, he said he had a migraine, handed me the closing checklist and left early. I was alone. Just me and the humming soda machines. That's when I saw it. He'd forgotten the key to the office. It was still on the hook by the time clock. My heart beat faster. I should have left it alone. I knew I should have. But something inside me cracked. Curiosity, fear, anger, I don't know. I grabbed the key. The door clicked open easier than I expected. Inside, it smelled like bleach and old wood. The light flickered once, then stayed on. There was a desk, a metal chair, 3 folders on the desk. On the cot in the corner, a stained blanket and plastic water bottles. A small locker sat against the wall. No handle, just a locked metal box with faint scratches. I stepped closer. The top folder had a name written in red marker. Stephanie Ibarra. She'd worked 2 shifts before quitting suddenly. I remembered her. Quiet girl. Shook a lot. Said Donald creeped her out. The second folder. Nathan Choi. Quit after 1 night. The third folder had my name. Inside were notes. Quiet. Follows instructions. Hesitation under pressure. Watch for non-compliance. My throat tightened. Suddenly all the store lights went out. Pitch black. Then the emergency light above the fry station buzzed on dimly. And then I heard it. The sound of the back door creaking open. I ran. Not back to the front. Not toward the office. I sprinted to the drive-thru window, shoved it open, and climbed through, landing hard on the wet pavement outside. I didn't stop. I ran 2 blocks to the Shell station on the corner, nearly slipping in the rain. My breath was ragged. My heart felt like it was breaking my ribs. Inside, I slammed the door and yelled for the clerk to call 911. The cops came quick, maybe 5 minutes. I told them everything. They looked at me like I was either crazy or traumatized. Maybe both. When they entered the store, I waited outside in the rain, hugging myself. Eventually, the lead officer came back. "There's nothing in that office, sir. Just cleaning supplies, a desk." "What about the box?" He raised an eyebrow. "What box?" They didn't find the folders. No box, no cot, no bleach smell. Not even Donald. His car was gone. So were his keys. It was like he'd never been there at all. I quit the next morning. Didn't ask for my last check. Didn't call HR. I blocked the scheduling number. I even deleted the store from Google Maps on my phone so I'd never see it pop up again. I found work eventually. Janitorial at a hospital. Night shifts, still. But there are cameras everywhere, and I'm never alone. That matters now. Sometimes I catch myself flinching when I pass a Tacobell. Not even consciously, just this quiet anxiety crawling up my spine, like I'll look through the window and see him, Donald, standing at the register, fresh uniform, smiling like nothing happened, like I failed a test, like he's still out there, waiting for the next one. Curiosity without caution can cost you more than you expect. Sometimes the best decision isn't about knowing why. It's about knowing when to walk away. Not every locked door needs opening, and not every manager is who they say they are. I got the job at Tacobell because I had nowhere else to go. Summer of '97, I was just 19, fresh off year 1 at Ohio Valley Community College. My dad couldn't stand having me back under his roof. "Bedrooms off limits," he said. So I rented a tiny attic studio in Wellington Ridge and took whatever night work I could find. Tacobell was the only place hiring someone with no experience and no car. It was a tired old building sitting between a liquor store and a boarded-up laundromat in a dying strip mall. Lights flickered sometimes, and the AC rattled louder than the traffic on Hamilton Road. Most of the crew didn't stick around for small talk. We had our routines, our stations, our polite hellos. And the nights, they were quiet enough to think, hum along while cleaning fryers and study my textbooks in the refrigerator room. I liked it, even when the place felt off, really off, like I was trespassing in someone else's memory every time I slipped behind the counter. There was this small, windowless storage closet next to the fryer station. Nobody used it. Never had. But every time I passed, I got that prickle, like someone was watching me through the ventilation slats. No fan, just a vent with dust. Just me, the hum of grease drains, and that sense of eyes tracking me. My shift lead Dan was good enough. Quiet guy, maybe 25. He once laughed off my complaining about the closet. He told me I was breathing too much fryer smoke, said I'd get used to it. But I didn't. That Thursday, like every Thursday, I clocked in at 9 p.m. The day crew left. The lights dimmed a bit. I settled in, humming under my breath while I tackled the lunch rush cleanup. I noticed that closet again at 10:45, more than usual, more like dread. I grabbed bleach from the back shelf, bending down, hand shaking just enough that I dropped my key ring. As I reached for the keys, I caught movement under that shelf at the closet. Blue sneakers, pale legs. I jerked back, nearly dropping the bleach. The sneakers vanished. I stood there frozen. No one was around. No one worked that closer shift with me. When I brought it up to Dan later, he sighed. "You're seeing things," he said kindly. "Smoke, stress." Another shift, same thing. But this time I spotted him in booth 5, where everyone said something bad happened back in the day. He sat motionless, faded blue hoodie, no food, just staring. When I blinked, empty booth. I couldn't ignore it anymore. I cornered Dan over mop buckets. Finally, he sighed. This place used to be a diner. In the 80s, Booth 5, robbery, guy named Derek shot dead. Nobody talks about it. It fit. But when he told me, I felt the cold climb up my spine. I stopped humming. After that, I started noticing more. Once, under one of the stainless steel fry covers, it flashed, a hoodie in the reflection, not me. Once, in the women's restroom mirror, I grabbed the door handle, glanced up, saw him behind me. Just 1 second, hoodie edge, motionless. Then nothing. I tried to chalk it up to mistakes, to flickers, to nerves. Every night I cleaned harder, scrubbed more. I double-checked the closet vent. But still, that feeling. I drank more coffee, checked my reflection, left the light on in my studio room at night, studied by that light, library quiet on Hamilton Road. Still, I showed up. Not brave, just too tired to worry. $10 an hour wasn't much, but it meant rent. One last shift in July, after midnight, I walked into the closet to grab more bleach. I reached for the door handle. Click, it slammed behind me. No breeze, just snapped. Lights cut out. Darkness. My breath stopped. No hum of the fryer, no AC, just heavy breathing, slow and deliberate. I froze. My hands shaking, they hit the vent and the doorknob. Cold metal. Every muscle I had tensed. I called, Dan? Nothing. Just the breathing. The door swung open. In that second, it felt like forever. I just ran. I left my keys on the counter, didn't pick them up. I didn't go back. I ignored the calls for my last paycheck. I left books behind. I ran. At 45, married, living hundreds of miles away, I still won't eat Tacobell, especially if I'm near Wellington Ridge. They kept the booth, kept the memory. Still open, still quiet. Sometimes I drive by on road trips. I stop the car at night. I stare in. I imagine him in the corner, hoodie up, pale shoes resting, waiting. Trust your instincts, even in the quiet. Some places keep their histories like ghosts, and if something feels watchful, just leave. When I first took the night shift at Tacobell, I didn't think much of it. I dropped out of nursing school a year before, moved back home after my mom passed, and needed steady cash for car payments and, honestly, therapy sessions. Nights worked, fewer people, fewer messes, and always a quiet hum from the drive-thru headset that grounded me. By the time I hit 7 months, I had a routine. Arrive at 10:30 p.m., clock in, load the sauces, then prep the kitchen for the midnight rush, or lack thereof. County Line Road was quiet after dark. Across from us, an empty vape shop and a boarded-up church that creaked when the wind blew. It was the kind of place that felt abandoned even when it was full. That Sunday, Kelsey, new kid, was scheduled but left early. I thought she had food poisoning. Around 12:30, I was mopping near the back line, headphones in, half singing to keep my head clear. The headset snapped to life, static, no order beep, just hiss. I froze. That only happened if a car rolled up hard on the sensor, but the camera feed showed empty asphalt. I got my phone, camera up, and checked through the monitor. No car, just the empty drive-thru under flickering lights. I almost dismissed it as an electronics glitch. I was about to turn back to mopping when it sounded again. Open the back door. Flat, calm, deep male voice. My legs skittered. I sprinted to the back door. It was locked. I turned the key, triple-checked it. Then, shaking, ran to the office and dialed 911. The dial tone was steady in my ear when I heard it. Bang. Then a louder smash. Ice rattled in the cooler. The drive-thru window shattered inward. Shards spun under the harsh fluorescent lights like 1,000 tiny stars. I dropped to my knees outside the office, whispering to 911. They broke the window. My voice trembled. I could see movement, a dark shape clambering through broken glass, helpless plastic stirring in the draft. It was him. A man, mid-30s maybe, eyes wide, face covered in dark smears, mud or worse, just wild. He looked injured, bleeding from the leg, dragging a makeshift crowbar. He was heading straight at me. I froze, phone still pressed to my ear. He cornered me between the soda pump and the walk-in, breathing heavily. Phone, wallet, keys, he almost snarled. His words tripped over themselves. I handed them, voice cracking. He pulled out thin zip ties from behind the register. Before I fully registered it, my hands were bound, fingers raw. One lie, 1 second of panic could be my last. I tried to steady my voice for the 911 dispatcher. He took the store keys, left in my car. The world felt surreal as he limped away, crown bar tapping on broken glass. My legs wobbled. Once the door slammed behind him, I crawled toward the walk-in, dragging myself inside. I collapsed against boxes of tortillas and old stock. The cold hit me, but it felt better than the heat of fear under fluorescent lights. My cell phone slipped from my sleeve. I used my knee to nudge boxes until my boot hit a panic alarm button by the cooler. The ticket line buzzed and flashed. I covered my mouth, afraid it'd draw him back, but the buzzer was my lifeline. Minutes dragged, but I heard sirens in the distance. I collapsed against the wall, sobbing. When footprints clattered behind the cooler door, I thought it was him returning. A police officer stepped in, flashlight shaking. I recognized the badge. Salvation. They unzipped my ties, gave me a blanket, and led me to an ambulance for concussion checks and shaken-up vitals. I told them everything. The static voice, the smash, the zip ties, my car disappearing. Detectives came in the next morning. They said he'd escaped from the halfway house a few hours before, walked past a gas station, and robbed our Tacobell to get away. They found my car abandoned 2 miles off County Line Road. The guy got arrested the next day after a tip. Corporate issued me a check for missing shifts and therapy assistance. They didn't make me come back. I quit that day. I didn't return to pick up my last paycheck. I couldn't. I haven't worked a night shift since. I drive past Taco Bells all the time and my stomach knots when I see them at midnight. I check the rearview mirror in parking lots, always, always. It wasn't just the break-in, it was the voice over the headset, the calm command. It meant someone was lying in wait, biding time. I carry pepper spray in my purse now, even during daylight. I wear a personal alarm. I sleep with a light on. But you can't erase the memory of footsteps on broken glass, or the feeling of being stuck in the cold, helpless, and bound. That Sunday at 12:55 a.m., the line between safety and terror felt microscopic, and that's a truth I carry with me every night. Trust your instincts and prepare for the unthinkable. Even in quiet places, danger can break in, literal or metaphorical, and when fear takes hold, survival means acting fast. My third week at the Taco Bell off Edison Plaza felt routine, grimy, fluorescent lit, and nearly empty. Most businesses there had shut down long ago. A 24-hour laundromat clanked next door, and across the lot a pawn shop sat dark, locked, and desolate. Trains rumbled every 15 minutes behind us, rattling the cracked parking lot. I worked the closing shift alone because I needed the hours for rent and gas. My shift-led Marisol got called home unexpectedly, so I found myself in charge at 11:45 p.m. I double-checked the registers, restocked napkins, and mentally made the locked doors at 2 a.m. checklist. At 1 a.m., I took out the trash. Fresh Indiana air felt good after hours under flickering lights. I tossed a bag in the dumpster and paused. Footsteps ahead? I shrugged and walked back in. 20 minutes later, hours of sweeping behind me, I let myself outside again. I needed another breath. The night air was still, no wind, no crickets, just the hush of darkness past the concrete wall. Then I heard it, a metallic scraping from the chain-link fence behind the dumpster, like someone dragging a crowbar across metal. Startled, I leaned forward. The motion-activated light near the fence glowed on for just a second, then off. No movement, no leaves, no animals. My stomach flipped. I stepped back inside. Inside, I tried to calm down. I replayed a grocery store playlist to keep my head clear. I counted my steps while sweeping and resetting the salad bar. Every few minutes, the drive-thru headset clicked on, static, but no voice. The first 2 times I thought tech glitch. But after the third ping, I noticed all the cameras had briefly cut out. Screens flickered, then returned with a slight delay. Nothing official on the logs, just visual blackout. I felt watched, like the camera feed wasn't malfunctioning by accident. Unease curled in the base of my skull. 10 minutes passed, and I grabbed my phone to check the time. I glanced at the backdoor camera on my screen and saw nothing, but the lights along the loading dock flickered again. My heart jumped. I brushed it off as a power surge. Still, I wouldn't go back outside for another round of trash or cigarette. I headed into the walk-in freezer to get extra napkins. The cold hit hard, and I shivered despite my jacket. As I checked the backdoor camera again on the wall monitor, I noticed muddy footprints leading in from the outside door, straight to the walk-in. But our alarm should have gone off. Deadbolt, latch, beep. It rang every time the door opened. I hesitated. Could I be imagining it? I wiped the lens and took another look. The prints were real, slushy mud, size 8 or 9. My chest tightened. I locked myself in the manager's office, told myself I wasn't losing it, and dialed 911. I watched every screen in that office, drive-thru, lobby, cooler door, loading dock. My hands shook as I fumbled with the headset mic. Minutes later, the loading dock camera picked up movement. A figure crouched low behind the dumpster, staring at the camera. No hoodie, no face, just the silhouette. I watched it shift position, always staring. The feed went fuzzy again, got static, then it disappeared. Then I heard sirens. I felt a jolt of relief. I whispered to them, "It's a person. They're out there." Within 3 minutes, 2 patrol cars screeched in. Lights flashed near the dumpster. I watched in the monitor as they found the circuit box, tampered with, wires loose and sparkly. When the officers escorted me outside, the figure was gone. No footprints, no body. Just the damp lot and my racing heart. They never caught anyone. For all I know, whoever it was drove off behind the laundromat. Corporately, I was offered another shift, or told I could transfer, but I politely declined. I called to say thanks, but no thanks. Now I haven't worked a night shift since. I refuse to step outside after dark, especially alone. When I pull into parking lots, I wait for lights to come on before I exit. I've started using smart light bulbs in my house, even though I live alone. I don't let my phone out of sight, and I check the hallway mirror for flares of movement. Unease is a signal, not an illusion. Don't dismiss muddy shoes, flickering lights, or static on a headset. Light flickers may dim fear, but your instincts don't lie. I never meant to work nights. I started as a waitress at Tacobell because my roommate moved out and rent doubled overnight. I split the place with my cat, Pepper, and balanced shifts with online college courses, on top of a messy breakup that left me exhausted. Tremont Avenue Tacobell was open until 2 a.m. on weekdays, and late night shifts were quieter. The drive-thru dribble slowed after midnight. I got downloading done, cleaned, called Mom on my break. Just enough time to calm my head before closing. Someone once called her my night owl therapy, but those quiet hours were exactly what I needed. Then the knocking started, just weeks into my night schedule. It always came after 2 a.m., usually on Tuesdays or Wednesdays. One knock, sharp, deliberate, on my front door. Not frantic, more eerie. I figured drunk neighbors or bored teens. But with rent and classes, I couldn't afford to sleep elsewhere. I slept with my keys in my fist and a small kitchen knife under my pillow. One night ended in tears when Pepper refused to get up, and I didn't blame her. The knocking stayed silent before and after, and that night I felt eyes behind the plaster walls. Still, I needed the hours, so I showed up to work the next Wednesday, heart rattling but routine. I worked alone that night. My shift lead had swapped due to family obligations. Around 11 p.m., a man walked in. He was old, late 60s, but his eyes were sharp and deep-set. He wore a sagging coat, cheap Nikes, and his hair was thin and silver. He ordered black coffee, no food, no small talk, He sat at a corner table by the window and watched me. I followed the usual steps: pour coffee, refill lids, clean his table twice. He didn't speak, he just stared. When he left, I cleaned the table and tossed away a receipt. About 15 minutes later, I noticed something. One receipt folded into the drink sleeve holder. I unfolded it to find a shaky note written in ballpoint. "I know where you sleep." Next time I knock louder. My stomach hit the floor. My hands trembled as I flicked on the lights again. The cleaning area suddenly felt suffocating. I called my manager, but he downplayed it as a joke. "Probably a drunk. Don't worry," he said. The police took a report but didn't promise much. My heart clocked around 90 beats per minute every time the drive-thru lit up with empty cars. That night I didn't go home. I stayed with my sister across town. I slept with the lights on and her dog's big head on the pillow close to mine. 2 weeks passed. No knocks, no notes. I thought it might have been a one-off creep show. One afternoon, Mel, my coworker and friend, came by after her shift. We walked to her car past my trunk in the dim lot. She said casually, "Hey, did you know that guy's been leaning against your car just standing there?" She mimed a man in a hoodie with hands in his pockets. I looked. I saw no one. But inside I felt cold. We hopped in and she drove off, but she dropped me after a block so I wouldn't walk. I told her it was silly, but she insisted she saw someone. Then later that night, driving home, I saw 2 cars tailing me down the empty streets. They honked randomly, swerved, backed off. I flashed the spotlight on my dash cam, nearly dialed 911 on one red light, but they pulled into a lot and stopped. After that, they followed once more, then vanished. I got home safe. I locked everything. I slid a chair under the doorknob and texted Mel to say I might move in with her soon. Sleep was a joke after that night. I barely slept a wink. My heart jumped at every passing siren or car door. And then, just after midnight, I heard a knock. Slow, methodical, on my front door. I froze in the unfamiliar dark of my apartment. I crept toward the bedroom door, phone clenched tight. With squeaky wood under my sock, I slid into the hallway with pepper spray hidden under my pajamas. I whispered to the 911 operator, "Someone's at my door again. It's happening." "Stay calm," she said. "I'm sending officers." My phone glowed on the floor. The knock didn't repeat, just one loud bang. Then, nothing. Guest? Trespasser? I could hear my cat mewling in the distance. When the officers arrived, they found no sign of anyone outside. No footprints on the porch, no fingerprints on the lock, no tools or notes. The door had been locked solid. No receipt this time, but slid under the door was a folded piece of paper with a single eye drawn in black ink. My hands were shaking so badly the officer collected it with gloves. No words, just the eye. I called my cousin the next morning. I moved out that afternoon, packed up rent-free in Fargo. A few months have passed. I put curtains up along the basement window at my mom's place. My cat settled in, and I'm working day shifts at a diner across the highway. I still check my car mirror every block. If I see flickering headlights, I tense up. And if a receipt flutters in the wind under my wiper, I don't touch it. I drive off.